Welcome to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. I'm so glad you're here. We're all about diving into the nitty-gritty of real estate, sharing insights, tips, and some awesome interviews straight from the industry's beating heart. From the latest trends to cool investment strategies, we've got you covered. Let's explore and uncover all the essential tools and knowledge you need for navigating the ever-evolving world of property and housing. Here we go. Hi, welcome back to The Real in Real Estate. Today we are talking to Karen.wood again. Thank you for joining us again. And today we're going to talk about down payment assistance. So Karen, why don't you give us another introduction as to who you are and who you work with?
My name is Karen.wood. I've been in the mortgage industry for about 20 years, maybe a little over that by now. I'm a loan officer with Next Mortgage in Cypress, Texas. And yeah,
Great. Well, I
frequent
know
flyer
you.
on the podcast. No frequent flyer on the
Yes, this is
pod.
your third time on, but this is a subject I really want to talk about. Not that I didn't want to talk about the others. Down payment assistance, because most people don't know that it exists or what it is or how to do it, what it entails, who can benefit, who can't benefit. So I just want to spend the time talking about that. I know you have several options. So why don't we just jump in?
Okay. So down payment assistance, it can come in a few different forms. It can be a loan, like a forgivable or repayable loan. It can be a grant. And it's can be issued by multiple different types of entities, nonprofits, government organizations, private lenders, all that good stuff. So it's a percentage of the sales price that is given to the borrower to help offset their cost, their down payment, basically, and some of their closing costs potentially. Usually, it's anywhere between 2 to 5% of the sales price, and it's given at
That's good.
closing, and it just helps so they don't have to bring as much money to closing.
Well, I know you mentioned grant. Now, grants do not have to be paid back. So
Mhm.
what kind of grants are out there and who might qualify for one?
Um, so there's a lot of the grants are issued by nonprofits and some state agencies. And it's just a lump sum grant that's given at closing to the borrower. You may or may not have to be a first time home buyer to qualify. It just depends on the program. The best way to find out really is to just connect with the lender who has down payment assistance programs, and then they can go over what programs they have access to and see which one is the best fit for you. Actually, the one that we do the most of is the forgivable loan, and it shows up as a second lien that does not require any repayment, and it just
Oh,
sits there. Yeah, it just sits there on the property for however many years is in the deed of trust that it has to sit there for, and then after that number of years, as long as you've made your payments on time, and the mortgage is current, all that good stuff, then it just goes away. So it's typically anywhere from 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years. I mean, it just depends on the program.
right.
Um, the one that we have is that we like to use, that I like to use the best. It's a 3 year forgivable lien. So it just sits there on the house, on the title for 3 years. And then as soon as that 3 years is up, then it just goes away.
Well, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
And who might qualify? You said first time home buyers. Is there a situation where you don't necessarily have to be a first time home buyer? You just need to have not owned a home in the last so many years,
Well,
3 years?
you don't even have to adhere to that.
Oh,
You don't have to be a first time home buyer. On a lot of the programs, you can actually own a home currently.
oh,
Um, yeah, so it's not just a benefit for first time home buyers. There are some benefits that are only for first time home buyers, or some programs that are just aimed directly towards them. But all the ones that we have, you do not have to be a first time home buyer to use them. You can still benefit from them, even if you're a repeat buyer.
wow. That's amazing. So are there any um, boundaries that you have to be in order to qualify for a down payment assistance? I mean, is it homes up to a certain dollar or is it income based or how does that work?
Yes, to both. For
Okay.
well, in most instances. In most instances, yes. So a lot of the programs have income limitations where you can't exceed like 80 or 100% of the area median income. And they do have loan limits typically as well. But we have a proprietary program at Next Mortgage where there are no income limits.
Oh,
There's no purchase price limits, that sort of thing. So depending on the program, a lot of lenders who offer these programs have more, what's the word I'm looking for? Expanded criteria, I guess you could say, for
Okay.
who can get these grants and these assistances. um, but yeah, I think majority of them have the income limitations. But with those ones that don't have the income limitations or the purchase price limitations, there is going to be like an adjustment to the rate, so you're going to feel it. But the
Okay.
benefit is that you could be a homeowner where you may not have been able to be before. So nothing is
Yes.
free, even though it seems free.
Yeah. No, somebody's paying for it somewhere.
Exactly.
But no, if you can get a grant, that's amazing. How much do you think, ballpark, would it affect your interest rate?
Um,
Are they
Lately it
just
hasn't been that far off from market. So the one that I prefer to use, if possible, is the Texas State Housing Affordable. What does it stand for?
T-Shack?
TSHAC, yeah, Texas State Affordable Housing Commission. I don't think it's commission. I don't remember what the C stands for, but and their rates aren't too bad. Like for their 5% down payment assistance, I want to say last time I checked, it was 7.375. So not too much higher than market. And like last month, it was actually pricing out cheaper than market. Um, Typically, it's anywhere between half a point to a point higher than market. It's
That's the
pretty much
grants you're talking about, or those are the uh,
all
non-grant? All of
all of
them?
them. Yeah, yeah.
All of them. Okay. So let me ask you this. On the ones you said you may have to hold for like 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, at the end of that period when that grant just falls off, are you able to refinance for a lower rate?
Yeah, and also, so the grant is just a grant. You don't have to stay in it. I don't believe we don't really do the grants. Mostly we do the forgivable second liens. It's the second
Oh,
liens, the second mortgages that stay on there that you have to stay in the home for a
okay.
specific amount of time. Um, so yeah, as soon as that time is up, then you can refinance to get out of it or sell. But if you try to refinance or sell before that time frame, whatever it is, you have to pay the assistance back in full. It's not
Okay.
prorated or anything like that. So if you get $10,000 in assistance and you like maybe interest rates have dropped significantly in 2 years and you still have a year left, you can absolutely refinance, but you have to pay that $10,000 back in full.
Okay. All right. I understand. Okay, so if we're not talking about grants or forgivable loans, then we're talking about like T-Shack, is that correct?
No,
Those
TSHAC. So
programs?
TSHAC has two programs. They have a
Oh,
grant and they have a forgivable second lien.
oh,
But we primarily use the forgivable second lien.
okay.
Um, so the grant, a lot of times the money it gets used up. So we try to just use the forgivable second lien. It's just easier.
Okay, okay. Do you have any special programs for firefighters, police, nurses, any of that sort of thing? That segment of our population?
All right. So firefighters, nurses, people like that, they're called hometown heroes. They get the mortgage credit certificate for free, which is a benefit that I think it's $400 to get it otherwise. Um, and the mortgage credit certificate, so it's essentially a certificate that gives you a tax credit so that you can reduce your income by a portion of the mortgage interest that you pay over the year. Um, it doesn't come automatically with down payment assistance, but it's something that you can get and combine it with down payment assistance. And it's also pretty cool because if you get it, you can use whatever that write off amount is, you can use that as qualifying income. So it's 15% of the annual interest that you're able to reduce your income by, your taxable income by. So let's just say that's $1,500 a year. Then you can use that $1,500 and add that as qualifying income on the mortgage. So it helps you qualify for more home.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. So I guess the best thing for someone that is interested in buying a home and wants to see if they can qualify or are eligible for down payment assistance is just to call you. Because
Mhm.
I'm sure half the people out there listening are going, What did she just say?
Yeah, it's kind of complicated because there's a lot of different types. There's a lot of different programs. There's a lot of different restrictions and requirements. There's a lot of different benefits. You do have to go through counseling when you go to get down payment assistance, but it's like nominal fee if there even is a fee. It's like a 30-minute class, maybe an hour-long class, so it's not that big of a deal. But there's a lot of things to go over with it just to make sure that the client understands, um, that, for example, that they have to stay in the home for 3 years or not refinance for 3 years or 5 years or however long it is. And there may be benefits to doing the repayable option. It's basically like a second lien that would give you 100% financing, where you may not want to do the forgivable second lien. Maybe they can afford it. Maybe they just don't want to have to, stay in the home for as long as they're going to be required to. So it's really individualized as far as trying to determine specifically what program is best for each client. But there's a ton. There are some other caveats to it too, like it's only for primary residences. You can't buy a second home or investment property with it, that sort of thing.
Good point.
There's credit restrictions. Yeah, typically like 620, 640. It just depends on the program. But you could do them with any type of loan, USDA, FHA, VA, conventional. So they're combinable with all those. It just depends really on the client.
Okay. So let me see if I can summarize to some point. There are grants and forgivable loans.
Mm-hmm.
Down payment assistance will help you with the money you need for down payment, because a lot of people think I have to have 20%, which you do not have to have 20% to get a home. There are advantages to having 20%, but you can also get as low as 3.5%. And of course, everything depends on you and your lender, your credit score, et cetera, debt to income ratio. But you need to investigate, because it's so much better to own a home, start growing your equity, than giving all that money to a landlord where you get nothing, no tax credits, no equity, no nothing. So if you're not sure how much you need to buy a house, you need to talk to a lender, give Karen a call, find out what programs are available to help you with that down payment, and what you need to do to get to the point where you can manage that, can work that. I think that's the best route to go. You have lots of different programs that they may qualify for, so don't hesitate to call. It's just a phone call. You can sit with Karen. You can learn how these programs work. You can learn how quickly you can get into a home, which is always good. And then you're going to be a homeowner. The American dream, right?
Yeah. So one of the really cool things about down payment assistance loans is a lot of times we see where the agent has negotiated a full 6% seller concession, for the closing costs. So when they come to closing, the borrower, they're getting 5% down payment assistance plus 6% from the seller. They may get a check back, actually, like for their earnest money.
Oh my God, I never heard of that before.
Yeah. So it happens a lot, actually. First time I saw it happen, I was like, oh my God, they're going to get money back. It's so cool. So that's not always, but it just depends on the situation. But yeah, you can technically get into a home, and I've seen it happen quite a few times where you don't really bring anything, and sometimes you get money back.
Right. And if you don't have to bring anything, that's even better.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, even people who don't, you can still have a little bit of money and still get down payment assistance, if that makes sense for you.
Sure.
Because when you move, there are other expenses as well, like redecorating, painting, moving expenses. I mean, maybe there's some repairs that need to be made. Oftentimes, especially if the house has been sitting for a while, you may need to do some maintenance on it before you move in. So it gives you an opportunity, if you have some savings, to save your savings, and then just,
use that for other things.
Yep.
And I know you just sent out an email last week about loans with renovation.
Oh, yes.
Attached to it. So that just reminded me.
Yes. So we can also now do through TSHAC, we can do FHA 203K, which is that renovation loan that we talked about, I guess, last time. So we can combine that with down payment assistance. So a lot of people who are, in lower price points still because of where rates have been, maybe they're not seeing the exact house that they want on the market right now in their price point, will with down payment assistance and the 203K. If they find something that maybe just needs a little bit of updating, um, then they can combine those two programs and get into a house still with zero down, and we base everything off of the as complete value, and then they can move in and or close on the home and then make it their own and move in.
That's
So it's like a
fantastic.
really, really, really neat thing, I think, that not a lot of people know even exists. I didn't actually until I started digging for somebody, and I was like, wait, we can do this? This is so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing because then you get to move into your home and you
Mhm.
get to put your touch on it, the right paint, the right carpet, whatever it is that you need to
Yep.
make happen.
No, we can only do it with the limited, so it can't be like huge
Understood.
things. Yeah,
You're not
so it's
going to
like,
get the place and start over. That's not what it's
yeah,
for.
no.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's enough for potentially a kitchen, maybe, or bathrooms and carpet and paint and new roof.
Depending
That's
on
good.
what you need. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think it's a really neat program, and something I definitely want to tap into, and hopefully can see come to fruition more. You know,
Absolutely. Sounds great. Well, is there anything else we need to mention about down payment assistance before we ask everyone to call you?
hmm. Um, owner occupied credit limits. So I think really, yeah, really, you don't have to be a first time home buyer. When in doubt, ask. I mean, that's the biggest
Ask.
thing is just having the conversations, to find out what's available out there. I think it's best. A lot of people want to just go online and like Google down payment assistance near me or something like that. But a lot of times there are caveats to a lot of these programs that the consumer may not understand. And each individual lender has to be approved with the down payment assistance program to work with them. So I think it's best to connect with the lender first before you try to start figuring out like which down payment assistance is for me, because you may think something sounds good, but there's like, all these caveats to it that you don't understand, or like you have to buy a specific home, or you have to like be part of pay like a membership fee. There's a lot of them,
Yeah.
and it can be overwhelming. So my suggestion definitely first is connect with a lender who knows what they're doing. See what programs they have, see if you fit into one of those programs, and if it doesn't work out, then I mean, go from there. But typically, lenders who offer down payment assistance have different multiple programs so that they
Right.
can find the right one for the right borrower.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this is something you need to Google, other than Googling uh, you, Karen. We'll give them the contact info. And just to reiterate, not every lender works with down payment assistance. So you've got to check
No,
that out as well. So if they don't, you need to find the one you've been talking to doesn't, then please check with Karen or someone else that does down payment assistance and knows how to work with it.
yeah,
And get the facts. This is not a Google thing. You need to know all the facts, in my
yeah.
opinion.
The last lender that I worked at, I was there for 14 years, and we didn't do any down payment assistance because, like, they didn't. Well, not they, but like the loan officers that I was working with, just didn't believe in it. Kind of like they thought it was kind of, I didn't think it was financially worth it. Of course, that was when our interest rates were like in the fours and the threes, and stuff like that.
Yes.
I think it just depends. It's individual, situation, because
Right.
a lot of people nowadays like are paying $2,500 a month for their rent, and they can't save any money, but they can manage a $2,500 a month payment. So of course they can manage a $2,000 a month mortgage if they can manage a $2,500 a month
Right.
rental payment, but they can't save that money because
The
rent
rent's
payments
so
just went
high.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have changed my tune on it personally, um, for the right borrower,
Yes. Well,
you know.
absolutely. Absolutely. All
So
right. Well, people, if you're listening out there, please give Karen a call. Find out what you can and can't do. She's going to give you the information. She's not afraid to have questions. So please
mm-mm.
ask your questions. No question is too stupid. Please don't think your question is stupid. Just ask. Right?
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
Why don't you one more time give us your contact info?
Okay. Phone number is 281-222-5815. And my email address is Karen.wood at nextmortgage.com.
And we will have all that information posted below. So thanks again, Karen, for joining us. It
Thank
was great
you.
information. I hope you all out there take advantage of this. Really, get yourself in a house.
Yes, definitely.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to The Real in Real Estate, your gateway to the source. Be sure not to miss our upcoming episodes loaded with fantastic insights, expert tips, and all the latest trends in the property scene. Don't forget to stay connected with us on our Trilogy Realty Group socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and even TikTok. Until next time, take care.